Rock 'em if you got 'em. Buddha. Be here now.
That's it.
Be here now. Be here now. Just be. Be here now. Right now, baby. Be here now. Be here now. Just be. Work like you don't need the money. Sing like nobody hears a sound. Dance like there ain't nobody watching. Just be present now and stick around. Reach for something that inspires you. Laugh when you're having fun. Run until the running tires you. Just be present sitting on your buns. Be here now. Be here now. Be here now. Just be. Running barefoot through the grass with somebody. Never let this moment pass you by. Skipping stones with the kids in the evening. Watching seagulls go shuffling by. Ooh, it's tea time. I got honey on my fingers. Red-tailed hawk echoes in the sky. Sitting here with you, digging every moment. I feel high. I feel high. Be here now. Be here now. Be here now. I just. Jazz. This goes out to the Rev.
And he knows who he is.
I feel the rain of love all around, around me. I feel the rain of love all around, around me. I surrender all I am, letting go across the land, rising up to expand. All I am gently, slowly find their way.
Beautiful like ribbons in the wind, ribbons in the wind. I surrender
All I am, all I am, all I am.
Now they're gone, and now there's space. I'm riding high, I'm wild with grace.
Feel the
Joy up on my face, on my face. I surrender all I water droplets in my hand, filled with all infinity.
Ocean essence glimmering.
In my hand. Embrace myself
As all that is, vastness spiked with cosmic bliss.
hugging on this holiness. I surrender all I
Thank you so much. That was beautiful. Good morning, sacred community. How are you? Good. You are in for a really lovely service this morning. Welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living, where we say the following because it is our promise, it is our prayer, it is our affirmation, where we transform lives, we build dreams, and we reveal love, where all that we ask is that you remain open to the possibility of changing your entire life by changing your mind. Welcome home. I want to say hello to our live streaming family. We are delighted that you are joining us this morning. And my name is Nicole Fraser. I am a practitioner awaiting licensing. Yay! And I'm also part of the Sacred Sunday Service team. We want to welcome you if you are here for the very first time. It is very special to have you here, and we have so many ways that we can connect with you. If you want to meet us after services today in Fellowship Hall, a concierge would love to give you a free packet. That is our gift to you today. If you are very busy and do not have time, we get that. There are packages in the back in the foyer on your way out. There are many ways for you to connect with us. You can get us online. You can call us. You can come back next week. We would love that. If you are our live streaming family, Max Overland is your moderator today, and he is more than equipped and fabulous at being able to connect you to our community also. Today, I want to talk about a little mishap we had. As you know, last week we talked about a flower dedication, only there were no flowers. And so let's look at the beautiful, okay. And so as we are a community that recognizes and cleans up our messes, we want to say we're very sorry. Today's flowers are the gift of Joan Leese, and this is what she has to say. May peace and direction be with my family as they navigate through their life purposes. Love you all, Mom. Yeah. And now is one of my favorite parts of every morning that we are here on Sunday. This is where we celebrate being with like-minded people. Please greet your neighbor. Hi.
Oh, you're awesome.
Hi, Maureen.
How you did those flowers.
Oh, good.
And here we go. Good morning. My name is Maureen Ross. I'm your practitioner of the day. I invite you to silence your mobile devices. We are going to go into 2 minutes of silence, preceded by the chant from our amazing musical guests. After the silence, we will pray. Take a deep breath in, and here we go.
God breathes through me. God breathes through me. God breathes through everyone and breathes through me.
God breathes through me. God breathes through me. God breathes through everyone and breathes through me. God breathes through me. God breathes through me. God breathes through everyone and breathes through me. God breathes through me. God breathes through me.
God is the only one who breathes through me.
Staying here in this breath of life. One more deep breath in and gently release. The breath of heaven is the light in the darkness. It pours over me its wholeness, and I am whole. The breath of heaven. And the breath of heaven is the breath of each one of our individual lives, and it infuses this planet Earth with the ability to grow and blossom and cleanse. And so we lean into our individual divinity, knowing that it expresses as each one of us powerfully, beautifully. And we are in the midst of a new moon in this moment, as if there is moon in the sky and sun and stars. It's all and it's God. And I know for certainty that we are called on here on purpose, and we have each said yes. So let's open to the fullness of the moment, the fullness of the day. Join me as I give thanks for the gratitude of the one who has turned its face to me, and I am whole. And together we say, and so it is. And please join me, mic on, with the affirmation. There is a peace, a divine, harmonious, dynamic, creative action at the center of my being. Every breath I draw, every beat of my heart is the perfect rhythmic action of life itself.
Every snowflake has a different shape. Every raindrop has a path to take. Every diamond has a different shine. Every atom in itself divine. Be authentic, be alive, be connected to your heart inside. Be yourself, be yourself, be yourself, yeah, yeah. Be yourself. Too much conformity can make you choke. Every painter has a different stroke. You have a calling, it's time to seek. Why creation made us all unique. Be connected, be alive. Listen to your heart inside. Be yourself, be yourself, yeah, yeah. Be yourself, be yourself. Inner guidance gonna make you sing and be connected with everything. Love and joy you cannot miss. Be yourself and follow your bliss. Be connected, be alive. Listen to the words of the wise. Be yourself, be yourself, be yourself, yeah, yeah. Be yourself, be yourself. Be yourself, be yourself. Be yourself, yeah, yeah. Be yourself, be yourself.
yourself. Be 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 yourself.
Thank you for that cool music. Hi, my name is Liza Mayer, and I'm going to do the Insight Talk today. 13 years ago, almost 13 years ago, I showed up in this room for the first time. And you guys know how it works. You come in and your life's all messy and horrible. Or maybe it's not, but mine was. And then you learn stuff, and then you apply it, and then things get better. And that's what happened for me. So I came in here and I started learning things, and one of the first things that I learned is that God is not a big daddy in the sky who punishes you when you mess up. God is love, and it's goodness, and it's light, and it's power, and it's patience, and forgiveness, and all those good, wonderful virtues, and it's everywhere, and it's everything, and it's inside of us. That's what God is. And then on top of that, I learned how to pray, and I learned that prayer is not begging that big daddy in the sky to give you something. Prayer is knowing that God is all that good stuff, and it's inside of you, and you get to use it, and isn't that great? So you say thank you, and then you know you're connected with the universe, and you let it go, and that's what prayer is. And it works, right? And it works. And then the other thing I learned, even though I was 40-something when I showed up here, I learned that I pick if I'm happy or not. It's my choice. I get to pick. Better late than never. I learned that. So then I hadn't been here long, and I was walking around being happy, and there was this request from the stage, and they said, can you come and help us? We're requesting that people come and help us back in the youth wing. And I thought, gosh, I love this place. I'll do anything. I'm so grateful to this place. I'll go help them back there. I think I could do that. And I got back there, and I worked with different ages of kids, and I found out that what they do back there, what we do, because I've never left, and it's been 13 years now, what we do back there is we teach them what we've learned in here. We teach them that God is everything and everywhere, and we have it inside of us. It's virtues, and we teach them about the virtues. We teach those kids how to pray, and we teach them, they don't have to wait until they're 40 to learn how to be happy. They learn when they're 4, and we teach them that. So sometimes, though, they teach us. One week I was back there teaching a virtue, and there was a little boy in my class, and he wouldn't sit still, and he wouldn't listen, and he wouldn't, be respectful, and he was poking the kid next to him, and finally I couldn't teach a lesson, and so I'd had it, and I asked the co-teacher, can you take the class? And I took him out in the hall, and I got down on his level, and I said, now you listen. I am in there trying to teach a lesson. Do you understand that? And he said, yeah, I know, Miss Liza. You're teaching about patience. We learn from them. That little boy is here now. He's this big. We teach the kids. We have a craft. We color. We sing. We learn to pray. We pray. We do all kinds of good stuff. And we tell a story. And one week I was telling an improvised story to the kids. And I do this to teach a virtue. It was self-confidence that week. And I said, there were some friends. Who were they? And the kids, they helped me, and they say, oh, it was a brother and a sister. And I asked, what were their names? And they said their names were Boo Boo and Shoo Shoo. Okay, so Boo Boo and Shoo Shoo went out into the town square, and they saw all the people in the town square. They were doing something really cool. What were they doing, friends? And little girl raised her hand. She said, they were skateboarding. I said, yes. And they were doing these cool tricks, and they were doing all this awesome stuff. And Boo Boo and Shoo Shoo looked at them, and they said, oh, we don't know how to do that. So they went home, and they didn't have any fun that day. But the next day they went back into the town square. And what were the people in the town square doing then? And one little girl raised her hand. She says, they were playing video games. I said, yeah, they were. And they all had their own personal computers, and they were really good at it, and they were having so much fun. And some were winning and some were losing, but they didn't care because it was so much fun. But Boo Boo and Shoo Shoo looked and went, oh, no, we can't do that. We don't know how. And they went home because they hadn't found their self-confidence yet, so they didn't have any fun that day. So I told the kids the next day, Boo Boo and Shoo Shoo came into the town square, and every person in the town was in the town square. And I told them, oh, you know what? They were doing the coolest thing, the most awesome, wonderful, fabulous, fantastic, fun thing. Oh, it was so great. What were they doing? And a little boy's hand shot up, and I said, what were they doing, Rico? And he said, they were praying. And I knew then that youth wing rocks. That's just, it's the place to be. And I was so happy that I go there every week and work with those kids. And really why I wanted to share, everything worked out okay for Boo Boo and Shoo Shoo. But really, what I wanted to share with you today is that we're in need of volunteers again back in the youth wing. And so I'm asking you to consider doing that and coming and spending, you don't have to go every week like me, just once a month. And Tony Cremier and Christopher Steele are going to come up here and talk to you about it later. And I would really love it if you would consider that. And thank you so much for letting me talk. And I'm going to go back to the kids now. Thank you.
Good morning. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, all of you who are live streaming. Welcome. I'm very grateful to be here. I am David Bruner. I am the senior minister and the spiritual director here at the center, and I'm probably the happiest man in the world. I have the best job in the whole world. You guys pay me to explore spiritual principles and to go out in my life and experiment with them, and then to come back and report to you what happened. I mean, how awesome is that? So, wow. I don't know how to describe to you how cool life can really be when you really get that you're not walking through it alone. I mean, when you meet the unseen guest, like really meet it, when you begin to court it, and when you begin to interact with the unseen guest like you would a lover or a beloved, or if you spent as much time courting the unseen guest as you do writing on your Facebook wall, you're going to find a life that is hard to even describe. Folks have asked what it is for which the center exists. Why is it that we live stream, and why do we have gatherings on Sundays and on Wednesdays and every day of the week in between? Why do we do that? Well, we do it because we exist to transform lives and to build dreams and reveal love. And more simply, though, we really do this. We do what we do, and you continue to support what it is that we together do, because what we're up to is helping people like you and your friends and your family and your community. We exist to help you to fulfill on the things that are important to you. We exist so that we might help you to fulfill on the things that really matter to you. And we have classes and gatherings and workshops, and we do weddings and baptisms and funerals and memorials and social events and concerts and plays and off-site events and Sunday services and Wednesday services and Thursday meditations. And we do all of this so that you might actually become acquainted with the unseen guest. Now, most of us have met the unseen guest. Some of us haven't experienced meeting it, but we've seen it in other people, and we hunger for it. There's another step to the thing about which I speak. Once you become engaged to it, I like to think of it like you know how much fervor and gusto we involve in putting together our online profile? We actually get our friends to help us, to make us saleable. Imagine if you did that for the invisible one. Can you imagine if you spent as much time and enthusiasm trying to make yourself presentable to the one that commands the universe? Wouldn't that be extraordinary? Imagine what you could accomplish if you entered into partnership with the one who right now knows that you exist, and it knows you intimately. It knows your fears and your worries and your concerns. It knows about your hopes and your desires and your disappointments and your resentments. And all the while, it has this presence about the presence, and that is that it would not change one thing about you. It wouldn't change anything about you. It has no regrets in creating you like you are. It has no remorse. It doesn't lay down at night and think, wow, I sure messed up with that one. No, but it celebrates the expression that it created in you, but not in you as a separate being, like a game, like a pawn on a chessboard, or like the little dog or the car on a Monopoly game. That you are external to it. You are an outlet through which it experiences its own world. You literally are the eyes through which the unseen guest experiences seeing its own creation. Your tongue is the tongue with which the thing itself gets to experience ice cream. Soy variety, gluten-free. However you'll have it. Your ears are the ears through which God itself gets to hear music and rainfall and babies crying and to hear the words of a beloved saying, I love you. You are the avenue through which the thing itself experiences its world. But most of us won't get into the joy of that because we are assessing the world as if the world should not be the way that the world is. We want to alter the world such that it must be different than it is, or that there's something wrong when we look at the world. Most people look at the world and have the interpretation that there's something wrong. But when we pause that perspective for just a moment, when we sequester our insistence that there's something wrong with the world for just a moment, miracles begin to occur. I've learned, though, that in order for me to really take that on, to take it on full force, to actually move through the world and articulate that there's a power for good in the universe, greater than you are, and that you can use it. In order for me to do that, I must be willing not just to talk about it, but to experiment with it, and to try it on in my relationships, and to try it on when I'm balancing my checkbook, and to try it on before I go to get my teeth cleaned, or go to the dentist, or go to have a medical checkup. I must try it on in my life. And usually the best place to try it on is when things aren't working. But when things aren't working, that's when most of us abandon it. We abandon the thing itself, and we court worry and drama and upset. Well, I know I'm not talking about anybody in this room, but probably all you live streaming. I'm talking about you. No. When you discover what matters to you, what has importance to you, maybe it's your kids, maybe it's your environment, maybe it's being green, maybe it's saving animals, maybe it's being politically active, maybe it's encouraging youth to come to the fore, whatever it is that matters to you and have importance to you, it's not enough just to dwell on it. I don't think. That's a good place to start. And a lousy place to stop. A group of us from this center went to Bali in January. There were 30-something of us. I'm returning with another group next January. We're taking another group of 34. It's not quite sold out, so if you want to join me and 33 others from this center in Bali, see me after service and I'll hook you up. While we were there, though, there was one particular day that we went to a temple. We went to temples almost every day. And the temples are outdoors. And at this particular temple, it was on the fringes of a rainforest, and it was very forested. It was a massive place, lots of outdoor area, and when we first arrived there, where all the buses were unloading people who looked just like us, there was this little kitten, and the kitten was about this big, and it was so skinny you could see its skeletal structure under its fur. Oh, I thought maybe they were going to flash a picture. It's funny, something happens and we all, shiny thing! This tiny little kitten was shaking as it was standing. It was emaciated. It had crust all over its eyes, and it was in really bad shape. It had worms coming out of its rear end, and it had fleas. But I noticed that two among our group were not just, we were all touched. Two were on the floor touching. And while the rest of us went about our business in the temple and took pictures and had holy moments with a priest that looked a lot like Yoda smoking cigarettes on the back of a moped that was... When we came back, I'm not kidding, that describes that temple. He was, if Yoda had 2 teeth and a tan, that was Yoda. When we came back, there kneeling on the ground with the same little kitten was Dorcas Kelly and Amber Jolene. And they said goodbye to the kitten, and we all got back on our bus and went back to our 5-star hotel. See, if it was the United States, we would have picked up the phone and dialed the SPCA. This is Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals. But in Bali, there is no such thing. So what was really going on was this cat was left to its own devices. But at dinner time, Dorcas and Amber came to every one of us who were on that. And they didn't suggest we made a donation. They told us we were going to donate. Because the next day, Dorcas and Amber were going to rely on the rest of us to hold the high watch in prayer and meditation and chanting. As they took a day off from their tours, they took a day off from visiting the beauty that is Bali. They took a day off from the last chapter of Eat, Pray, Love. They took a day off to go find that kitten and do something about it. So they did. They got into a cab. They went back to this temple, which is this massive, massive outside area. They started, mime communication. You know, when you don't know the language, they're pointing, and they were probably purring and probably there. I could definitely see Amber doing that. I don't know if I could see Dorcas doing that. They were showing pictures and drawing stick figures, and pretty soon they had everybody looking for this cat. They found the cat. And they went back to, they found a rescue shelter for cats. And they left the cat with these people, and they gave the donation from our group. And then Dorcas and Amber followed up on this cat every day, even after we returned to the United States. Well, we found out that 2 weeks later, the cat crossed over. But the cat crossed over full and purring and warm and loved. But I'm telling you this story, not just because we're a bunch of animal lovers and we're on the left coast. Because for Amber and Dorcas, it's not okay just to talk about God. It must show up in our actions. So Mauricio and I were looking at our shack that we bought in Tahoe last January, and we're talking about what really matters to us, what has importance to us. And what matters and has importance is spending time with family and friends. That's what we just love to do. And when we bought this house in Tahoe, we were absolutely certain that everybody's going to want to come up and visit us. We even created schedules so that we're going to be bombarded with guests. And so we booked out the entire spring and summer and even winter. But what we found out is that lots of things happen for people on Thursdays. We got calls on Thursday nights before we were supposed to go to Tahoe on Friday, and they said, I'm tired. It's been a rough week. My boss wants me to work this weekend. I got the kids. Something come up. Weekend after weekend after weekend, Mao and I were alone in our house. And I know, I didn't invite you. You would have come. But I didn't invite anybody else because we were booked. Anyway, we looked at each other and he said, it's time to sell the house. And we went, okay, So the house went on the market, and within 48 hours, it was in escrow, and it was like an accelerated escrow. So the only time we could get there, get our stuff packed and out of there for the new owners was day before yesterday and yesterday. So on Thursday night, we drove to Tahoe. On Friday, he and I just packed up the whole place. On Saturday, we rented our U-Haul trailer and backed it up to the house. And Saturday, we just loaded this thing and loaded it and loaded it and loaded it and loaded it. I mean, the springs were just creaking as the van back got lower and lower and lower to the ground, and the tongue of this trailer got lower, and the two of them were like bowing to each other. So, I'm telling you this because as I was walking through the empty house, looking outside, I saw that it began to sleet, and there was frozen rain and snow happening. And I was looking out in the driveway at this Toyota Sienna van with this massive 12-foot long, fully decked out trailer, and I was a little pessimistic about getting over the summit. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, see, you're my people. I love this. Some of us just look at it and go, oh, this is just not going to turn out well. And so we locked up the house, and I got into the van and I got into the passenger seat and closed the door, and as Mal was locking up the trailer, I'm pushing the button, I'm looking in the rearview mirror, and I'm seeing the garage door close for the very last time. And then I had this memory, like this beautiful memory. This was God's doing. I remembered every time we would take a road trip as a kid, my dad would get into the driver's seat, my mother would get in the passenger seat of our 1965 Pontiac Bonneville station wagon. You know, the kind that if it had seatbelts, nobody even knew what they were. The kind, had like a metal dashboard. There was nothing like airbags or anything. And somebody is smoking a cigarette. So I remember that just before we would get on the road, my mother would get in the passenger seat, and she would sit very still. And later I asked her what she was doing. She was praying to the Holy Mother that she and her kids and her husband would arrive safely at their destination. And we even had on the dash, we had the Madonna. It was a magnetic bottom, it was on there. You knew you were Catholic if you had a Madonna on the dashboard of your car. You knew you were Baptist if it was Jesus. Do you guys know that song? I don't care if it rains or freezes as long as I got my plastic Jesus riding on the dashboard of my car. The Jews don't know this. You Jews don't know this. For those of you who don't know, I could ride 90 miles an hour as long as I got my almighty power riding on the dashboard of my car. Well, that was not the prayer that my mother was doing, I don't think. But as I sat in the passenger seat of our Toyota Sienna minivan, and I was a little pessimistic about the roads and the ice and thinking, why did we choose a day such as this? I reflected on my mother, and I thought, it's time for me to pray. And the prayer that came to me was not a prayer I was expecting. It wasn't begging or beseeching or even a spiritual mind treatment. I began to chant the Bali song. I just was chanting what we chanted in Bali every day, the Gayatri mantra. And the more I chanted, the more I got not just peaceful, but I got enthusiastic and excited about this beautiful trip. And I was so grateful for Toyota for creating this vehicle, and for U-Haul for having the perfect balance of I just suddenly got flooded with like this amazing experience that this was the most amazing trip I had ever been on. So although it wasn't my mother's prayer to the Holy Mother, it was praying in my own way. And our topic today is each in his own way. And it's a chapter in our book of the year called A New Design for Living. A New Design for Living is filled with tiny little chapters. They're about a paragraph to 4 paragraphs at most. And each week in 2014, we're looking at one chapter a week. This week's chapter is Each in His Own Way. And there's a premise to this chapter, and that is, there is an unseen guest that if you really knew, and you really, really knew this unseen guest, you would never be afraid. You could not be afraid if you knew who walked with you. And right now, your hunger to know this guest is actually the guest itself urging you to remember who you are. And you might be inspired by the way David Bruner does it, or you might be inspired by the way your practitioner does it, or you might be inspired by the way your sponsor connects with it, or you might be inspired by the way your therapist connects with it. But neither David or your sponsor nor your therapist are you, and you will know it in your own way. Your job is to find your own way. I'm a really good student. Really good student. When I find somebody whose life inspires me, I want to know what it is they're up to, and I want to know if I can incorporate some of that into my own life to cause my own life to be more touching and moving and inspiring for myself. So there's a pitfall to this too, sometimes. When I watch my mentors and I take their advice and I practice what they're up to, I often get so involved in the practice itself that I'm not really experiencing the breakthrough because I'm really engrossed in the practice. Do you guys know what I mean by that? For those of you who don't, here's an illustration. Please forgive me. For those of you who have heard this before, you've heard me say it at least 5 times in the 15 years I'm here. So here's the 6th. Once upon a time, there was this beautiful, normal little village in which lived wonderful, normal village people. Well, not village people. And Jay's going, village inhabitants. And one day, one of the normal village inhabitants, who was normal just like everybody else, he had disappointments, he had joy, he had sadness, he has happiness, he has hopes, and he has worries. One day he's out having lunch by himself, and when he returns to the village, his countenance has transformed. He's changed. And people wonder, what's different? What's happening? He goes, I don't know. But I'm suddenly free from my worry. I'm free from my consternation. I'm suddenly free from my obsession with the wrongness of the world. And I really have a peacefulness for which I've been hungry my whole life. And they're saying, how did you do it? Because that's what we want to know, right? If you look at the bestseller list, almost always, one of them is how to something. We want to know. He said, okay, so I went out to the lakefront, and I was sitting there at the water's edge, and I was just having my lunch of my avocado, and this moment occurred when a little ripple on the water reflected the sunlight into my eyes at the same time as I was eating this avocado, and I just was swept over with this sense of well-being. And they were like, wow, I want that. Don't you? Don't you want that? The next morning he woke up and nobody was around. He wondered, where had all the villagers gone? And he went looking for them, hunting for them, calling out their names, and he found every one of them at the water's edge, all staring at the glinting water, rapidly eating their avocados. See, it's not the water. It's not the glinting sunlight off the water. And it's not the avocados. It's the thing that exists in between those things. Deepak Chopra calls them the gap. It's what exists in the gap. But we don't often notice the gap because we're so busy filling our days. We fill our days. Fill. And then our lives are so busy, we blame God for not making itself more known to us. But like any noise out in society, we don't even notice it because we're too busy focused on something else. Well, you can make an impact. You can actually begin courting this unseen guest, which, by the way, has always courted you. It's not a person, but it's not just a law either. It's not a person like a man or a woman. It's a presence. And there's a distinction between. It's not a person. So I even avoid sometimes using the word God because you say God and people think of Charlton Heston. Or if you're lesbian, you think of Mae West. Either way works. But when we think of God, we think of man typically, or Zeus, or Santa Claus. But it's not a person. And that's what makes it difficult for us who are not parking our brains at the door. But we're dealing with a presence that knows you intimately. And all it takes is one tiny little change in your daily life to cause a domino effect and alter everything. It only takes one small adjustment. One small adjustment or introduction can change everything. Now, physically, we know this to be true. I don't know if you know, but in 1995, we in this nation reintroduced wolves into Yellowstone. Now, the wolves had been they had been absent for 70 years. And it was an intentional decision on the Department of the Interior to keep wolves out. But there came a point in time when humankind realized, stop messing with nature and see what happens. So wolves were reintroduced. Now, in the wolves' absence, though, what we found out is that the deer having no natural predators that were present, deer began to multiply prolifically. And they began to strip bare the entire environment of Yellowstone. Now, I'm not saying that deer are a bad thing, but deer kept unchecked can be trouble. Like with anything in life, left unchecked, there can be trouble. So with the reintroduction of wolves, yes, some deer and even some small elk were lost, but the behavior patterns of the deer changed. They began to stop staying out in the open where they're easy target. They began to exercise their natural rights and to go more towards the hills where they had a little bit more safety. And what began to occur is the landscape began to dramatically and immediately alter. Fields and valleys and gorges began to regenerate with plant life. In a matter of 6 years, tree sizes quadrupled. Bare valleys quickly became forests of aspen and willow and cottonwood. And as soon as that happened, the birds started moving back in. And the number of songbirds, of migratory birds, started to increase greatly. And the number of beavers began to increase because beavers like to eat trees. And beavers, who are like wolves, they're ecosystem engineers. And the dams that the beavers built in the rivers provided habitats for otters and muskrats and ducks and fish and reptiles and amphibians. And the wolves killed coyotes, and as a result of that, the number of rabbits and mice began to rise, which meant more hawks and more weasels and more foxes and more badgers. And then ravens and bald eagles came down to feed on the carrion carcasses that were left behind by the wolves, and even the bears fed on it too, and the bear population began to rise because there were more berries growing on the regenerating shrubs. One tiny introduction again of the natural cycle, and you have what they call a trophic cascade. It's a trophic cascade. Who knows what would happen in your life if you devoted 5 minutes every day, just 5 minutes, to being in the presence of the thing that operates the universe? 5 minutes. What would be the trophic cascade in your life? One small thing. Well, there's more to the story, by the way. Not only did all of that happen with the plants and the other animals, the river's directions began to alter. They began to go back to the natural flowing speed of the rivers. They stopped being quite so stagnant because without all the plant life on the side, the river's edges kept eroding and the rivers kept meandering, which slowed the water down and allowed for a lot of stagnation and a lot of erosion. But when the plant life began to reemerge on the side, the rivers began to flow more at their strong and natural pace and strength. So yes, wolves changed the courses of rivers. What is one small thing that you can introduce into your life beginning today and do it every day to see things shift? Yeah, it's pretty wow to me too. One tiny little thing can change everything. So, what matters to you? What has importance to you? Let's pray about that to move it into motion, shall we? I'm going to invite you to move into what we call prayer pose, whatever prayer pose means for you. For me, prayer pose is very simple. I like to take things out of my hands so I'm not distracted. And I like to put my feet flat on the floor so my legs don't go asleep so I'm not distracted. I like to sometimes just rest my hands on my thighs, or I even turn my hands up. Not that something mystical takes place, but it just allows me not to be distracted. And I ask you to indulge me as we pray a little differently today. It's not so much me making declarations or intention setting. Instead, I ask you to join me as we begin to invite into our awareness the unseen guest. I'm going to speak to it as if it were person, knowing it's not person. But it's the only way at this stage in my life that I know how to relate. So I'm speaking to the thing itself, which was here in this room when we arrived, and it will be here when we leave. We brought it with us when we came into this room, and we will take it with us when we leave. And mostly, we didn't know that. But now we do. God, I know you're here. And I know that within your majesty is the answer that I've been seeking. I know through courting you and partnering with you, I become unstoppable. And I know within your wisdom is the cure for hunger and the ending of war and the creation of new ideas and clean water for everyone. And I know that within you is the cure for AIDS and for cancer and for homelessness and violence. And right now I'm really interested in partnering with your universal power so that I might make a contribution in some small way, the contribution of which could alter the course of a river. So I actually ask you now to intervene this week when I'm acting stupid. Soften my heart and broaden my mind and enliven my body so that I might actually be an expression of you, full-formed, lacking nothing. And please do so sweetly. Nudge me in my dreams. Take my hand as we move through the world. I am your willing servant, partner, spouse, because you are the lover of my soul and the keeper of my being. Nothing matters as much as you. Please help me to remember that. And it is my promise right now, my dedication, that this is what I will do every day this week in memory of this prayer. And for those of you who are listening right now, insert your own promise to Source Energy. What will you do this week in commemoration of this prayer? And it's perfect. And I'm so grateful. Because even though I don't really have one, I have a figurative one that lives in my spiritual pocket. It's a plastic Jesus. It's a plastic Virgin Mary. It's a string of mala beads, and it reminds me that I get to fulfill on what matters and has importance to me. And so, there's nothing else for me to do but to close out this prayer and get on with it And so it is. The ushers are going to come forward and help us with the sharing of our gifts and tithes and offerings. And while they do that, I just want to set up the music. The music for today is presented by the Youth and Family Ministries. We have determined that on the 5th Sunday of a month, there's 4 months in a year that have 5 Sundays, the youth will be leading us with the song during the collection. For those of you who are worrying about these children being projected on live stream, the cameras have now raised, so the cameras are going to be above their heads. I'm going to ask you to help us out, though. The song is going to be a call response, call response, call response. When Megan calls, I'm asking you to also respond. Can you help us out with that? Can you guys help us out with that? Yeah. Excellent. So before we do that, join us in the sharing of our gifts and tithes and offerings. Please say the giving affirmation with us. I bless the past, accept the present, and praise the future. I give thanks for the miracle of life and how it blesses me. I am inspired to love and serve the world.
I am an expression of the Spirit, of the Spirit. I am an expression of the Spirit, of the Spirit. A beautiful expression of the Spirit, of Spirit. Magnificent expression of the Spirit, of Spirit, of the Spirit. A unique, unrepeatable expression of God. A unique, unrepeatable expression of God. Unique, unrepeatable expression of God. I am an expression of the Spirit, of the Spirit, of the Spirit. I am an expression of the Spirit, of the Spirit. Right time, right place, an expression of the Spirit. I'm fabulous, I've got it, I got it. An expression of the Spirit, a unique, unrepeatable expression of God. A unique, unrepeatable expression of God. I am an expression of the Spirit, of the Spirit, of the Spirit. I am an expression of the Spirit, of the Spirit, of the Spirit.
So one more hand for the kids. So my name is Reverend Tony Cormier, and I'm the Director of Youth and Family. Yay! So the next time you'll see the kids is on June 29th. And I know some of you are thinking that's way too long. So there are opportunities to volunteer in YFM. 1 Sunday a month, 2-hour commitment. And I also want to introduce Christopher Steele, who's going to be our new Teen Youth Advisor.
Good morning.
very excited about this and working with the teens. I can hardly wait to get up there, and we're looking to Skype another center and recommunicate and build our world bigger and bigger through our teens. I'm very excited about that. Thank you.
Thank you.
So it's time to close this out and get on with our day. I have a handful of opportunities for you to contemplate. One is that today's the last day for the March Outreach Collection. So if you're donating for the Animal Relief Awareness, we would like to have your donations by this afternoon. Today there's an annual Gourmet for God volunteer orientation. So if you'd like to volunteer to help the Gourmets with God kickoff on April Sunday, there's a orientation upstairs at 12:30. There's also an usher volunteer training today at 12:30. So if you want to be an usher, just go upstairs to the Ernest Holmes room, and they will help you to be trained to be awesome at it. Also, next Sunday is an usher potluck. See Gregory Merritt for more info. Today at 2 o'clock, Will Jameson is taking the young adults, which are ages 18 to 35. They're going to be going to an event at Sky High. And they're not checking for IDs, but apparently they wouldn't let me go. There's a mind-body connection class beginning this coming Thursday with Megan Dake Morrell. If you'd like to register, please go to the concierge. On Wednesdays, we have every Wednesday from 7 to 8, there is a free spiritual practices class with Reverend Susan Overland. On Thursday, there is a free silent meditation from 7 to 8. It's absolutely silent. If you want to endure possibility, join us at 7 o'clock on Thursday. You will see time gets suspended. The Better Business Breakfast is happening 1 week from Tuesday morning. On Tuesday, April 8th, there is a free breakfast. It's an opportunity for you to find tools to introduce spirituality into your business. There is a course, a 3-week course, facilitated by Patty Searle, beginning April 19, called Scheduling, Doing Everything You Want to Do. The center is seeking a certified public accountant to help us by performing a nonprofit review. Please see Megan Dake Morrell. And if you'd like to pick up CDs of our guest musicians, Narian and Janet, go to Fellowship Hall, and or maybe just go say hello to them. They just moved from Seattle to Sonoma County, so they're new to the center of the universe, California. Two more things. So the annual Gourmets for God event, is being kicked off on. I'm seeing ghosts. It's being kicked off on Easter Sunday. Let me tell you what this is. And that's because we have a lot of guests here today who don't know about this. Every year we have a large fundraiser, but it's also a fundraiser. It's an opportunity for you to provide something for your community. It's an opportunity for people to donate or to bid on your donation. And it's a chance for people to get together around food. So Gourmets for God is, for example, I will donate a couple of events, but ideally, I would cook for you in my home, and you would come for a dinner at my house. Let's say I'm going to have 5 or 6 people. Let's say 6. I'm going to have dinner for 6, and then there will be a bid sheet in Fellowship Hall starting on Easter that people can come, and they'd say, like on May 17th, dinner at David's house, up to 6 people. The top 6 bidders get to then go. I pay for the dinner. I pay for the food. I pay for the environment. You, if you're the bidder, you write a check for that amount. The church gets all the money. We get to have community. Now, because I don't cook, which, by the way, is a good thing. It's proof that there is a Jesus. I am likely not to invite you into my home to eat, but instead I will meet you at a restaurant and I'll pay. So there are people who they go to bowling alleys. There are people who have margarita and pool parties. There might be movie and pizza parties. Maybe you're in an eating program and this is a bad idea. So you can have something around the experience of not food. So there's no limit. Anyway, go to the concierge if you'd like more information, and they will give you a form. I have one more thing, and that is, since we have... Yes. Marilyn, Marilyn, do me a favor. Speak to us so he can hear you.
Next Sunday is the last day to put in your donor form for Women for God event. So come and get a form this week or find it online.
Thank you very much. I appreciate. Do you have some forms available if people want them? Excellent. Okay, good. The last thing. We've been averaging on Sunday between the two services about 100 people watching online. Today during first service there were 87 people watching online. So what we found though is that for folks online live streaming, they're missing some of the contact and connection that we are blessed to have here in this room. For example, when I say, if there's anything going on in your life for which you would like prayer, please have a seat in the chapel area and one of our licensed practitioners will pray with you. It's something we call a 1-minute miracle. They're not there for counseling. They're there just quickly tell me what's the challenge, tell me what you want the solution to be, and I will pray to break through with you. So it's a 1-minute miracle. But people online haven't had that opportunity up until today. So here's what we're offering. If you're online and you would like prayer, please just write to Max, who is your moderator. Write to Max with your name and your phone number. He's going to write it down on a piece of paper. He's going to hand it to one of our practitioners. And our practitioners are going to go into the office and they're going to call you and pray with you for a 1-minute call. But I'd like you to know something. This is not counseling. It's not checking in. Tell them what you want for prayer. They're going to pray with you. They're going to love you. They're going to hang up and say, see you next week. So, thank you for all of our licensed practitioners. Thank you for Max, and thank you for our online community for really expanding our sphere of influence. Would you all please stand and take the hand of the person on your right and on your left? Won't you know with me that you and I are never alone, but that God is where we are right now and always. And the only thing that we will ever need to do is look inside ourselves. Because really, it is there that we will discover that we are walking in the presence of an unseen guest. And we are lifted and inspired and transformed and renewed by this. And let us make use of these gifts in all that we think and say and do, and so it is. As is our custom, won't you please repeat after me? Something wonderful is happening as me right now.
Something wonderful is happening as me right now.
It's this thing called life.
It's this thing called life.
Life is in my mind. Life is in my body. Life is in my relationships. Life is in my finances. Life is in our youth department. I see it. I think it. I feel it. I believe it. I accept it. I express it. Just the way that it is. And just the way that it is not. Thank you, life.
For all you bring to me, I just want to thank you. Your love has set me free. I just want to thank you. For all you bring to me, I just want to thank you. Your love has set me free. I just want to thank you.
I just want
For all you bring to me, I just want to thank you. Your love has set me free. Set me free.
To me, I just want
just want to thank you. Oh, thank you, thank you. Thank you, thank you for all you bring to me. Oh, I want to thank you for all you bring to me. I just want to thank you. Your love set me free. I just want to thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for all you bring to me. Oh, yeah, play Janet. Go ahead and give it up, Janet. Yeah, yeah. I just wanna. I'm selling some CDs out there. Go ahead and get some CDs out there for all they bring to me. I just wanna.